Welcome back, guys, to the Better Investment Academy channel. And we're going to go ahead and dive straight into it. Just want to give you the value. Make sure we take something from today's video and apply it to our actual lives because right now, I think we're in a very critical time as far as the markets and everything that's happening financially in general. So hopefully I can provide some value today. And like I said, let's jump straight into it. So what you're going to see here is the price of Bitcoin and the Bitcoin chart. And this is something I drew up. I kept saying for a long time now that I think when it comes to cryptocurrency, it's a newer market. And it's what you're seeing is you're seeing the charts like gold be outperformed way faster with something like Bitcoin. So essentially, what's happening is imagine if gold did what Bitcoin did, it would have had to have happened a lot faster, right? In order for Bitcoin to reach the price that it has, all that volatility, all of what has happened, it's happened much faster than we've seen how long it took for the price of gold to move. And the price of gold is not nearly as high as the price of Bitcoin. Now, price doesn't matter as much as value because the price of an asset can change. For an example, given the early 2000s, Amazon crashed all the way to $5 a share. Now, it's not worth that now, but that's just an example of how price doesn't necessarily mean that something is bad or good. It's all about the value and how the market values that particular asset at that point in time. And right now, I don't think that the market values cryptocurrency and digital assets as a whole necessarily as much as they do other safe haven assets like gold. And so I think that also too, gold has been kind of put on the back burner and it's had some negative light shared on it. And we're going to do some comparisons between gold and Bitcoin, but Bitcoin is seen as like, this digital gold, and it's seen as that way because it has a store of value. So what is a store of value? Understanding what that is. A store of value in layman's terms means that if you were to put money into something, a particular asset, that versus other things, as things go up in price, your money grew with inflation. So over time, as things cost more, by me having my money inside of this asset, for an example, real estate, gold, Bitcoin, it's an inflation hedge. It's going to be able to purchase me, retain my purchasing power and purchase me the same amount of houses, the same amount of bread, the same amount of clothes, same amount of shoes, or more inside of the future. So it's either going to keep up with that rate of change when it comes to inflation, or it's going to outpace that rate of change. A lot of different assets can be stores of value, and so for me, I kind of fell out of love with Bitcoin. I have nothing against Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin's going to do great. I want Bitcoin to do great into the future, but I simply do not hold it in my portfolio. I will say that, up front. And so just to be, completely transparent, but I am not biased against Bitcoin. I made good money off of Bitcoin. Held it early on, was an early investor, below $10,000. So definitely saw some great things from it. And Bitcoin is a great asset if you understand the proper terms around it. Now, with that being said, I have to, I'm saying all this to kind of address a certain narrative. And before we move into it, gold and Bitcoin have completely different intrinsic values. While Bitcoin is more like the dollar, it's all about the trust that people have inside that network. And gold is, it's different because it's finite in terms of supply. Even if they were to dig up more gold, if it's manipulated any kind of way, then that's fool's gold. And so Bitcoin, in my opinion, right, is that it's somewhat in that way. It's gold in a manipulated way because whoever controls the network can now make changes to the code itself. So if I control enough of the supply of Bitcoin, we could get to 21 million Bitcoin, and I simply increase the supply. Just like any other currency, it can be manipulated. They have different things that are going to be able to provide you in terms of benefits. Out of a power outage, for an example, Bitcoin is not going to be able to help you very much because you can't transact something that requires power in order for you to be able to use the internet. So with that being said, Gold and silver are going to shine inside of the moments like that. Even cash is going to shine in moments like that where things need to be transacted. People want something that they can trust. If you can't use your Bitcoin, it's not as valuable to you in that moment. Vice versa, let's say for an example, you want to make a digital payment, gold and silver aren't going to be as useful to you, right? If you want to hop on a plane and take $1 million of Bitcoin with you, you can do that with simply a hard drive. If you want to take $1 million of gold or silver with you, that's going to weigh a lot. People clearly will know that you have something of value with you. In my opinion, when it comes to the value side of Bitcoin versus gold or silver, we're still talking about man's money versus God's money. It's a commodity out of the ground. There's some things out there looming that could be a danger to Bitcoin. And like I said, with everything around the supply and how that works, it's still technology at the end of the day. It's a network, and the institutions have now gotten in on Bitcoin. So Bitcoin should have been something that was revolutionary, and the retail investor buy into it, and we all hold a bunch of Bitcoin, and now we use it to transact peer to peer. Well, it turns out it's really expensive as the network goes on to transact Bitcoin peer to peer, and not enough retail people own Bitcoin. It's mostly consolidated amongst big players. I think that that revolution has kind of died off, and DeFi is now the revolution. So Bitcoin is old technology, the same way gold is looked at as a relic. Is it digital gold? No, it's really not, because we're going to have digital gold. So once we have digital gold, what would you then look at Bitcoin as, right? I really just wanted to dive a little bit into gold and Bitcoin as far as the comparisons, because if you don't understand that, then you can be hurt as an investor. But diving into the charts in themselves, when it comes to what we're looking at here with Bitcoin, I kept saying, like I said before, the price has to come back down some more before we're really going to see that explosion. We're not going to see that explosion from where we're at right now. I just simply don't think that's going to happen. We need to come back in the trend, and more importantly, we need a healthy correction because we're way ahead of time. Silver, if you look at the price of XRP and other cryptocurrencies, they're following that same chart pattern, but they're doing it so much faster that it's harder for you to predict, what's going to come next. Where are we at inside the market cycle? But in my opinion, I think this is where we're at inside the market cycle, and I've drawn up what I think can happen. And as you can see, I think the price can go very high, very high on the logarithmic chart there. As you see, I got it going up upwards of $250,000 for the price of Bitcoin, but not before we see some pain. You got to see some pain so you can see some gains, and that's what's going to happen inside the cryptocurrency market. It always does happen. We need to see something dramatic, and I think it'll happen fast. That's the thing. I don't think it'll take long. I think it'll be uh, maybe even a wick that comes down and drops us to that 65,000 to $50,000 range. But I think we have to go there. I think we have to go back to that 65 to $50,000 range in order for us to be able to really go as high as we want to go. And ultimately, I think the chart goes very, very high, but not before giving people a good scare. And I think it's healthy. I think it needs that, because honestly, if Bitcoin were to just continue to just rip from where it's at, kind of like what gold is doing now, I wouldn't want to own that asset. It would make me very questionable, even more questionable, I should say, around Bitcoin's future. The reality is we want to see something that the world is not ready for. All this technology, everything like that. You still have baby boomers, and they don't even understand how to work, their iPhone and so on and so forth. The world is really not ready for a lot of this technology. And so a lot of this is still speculation. A lot of this is still an idea that isn't actually impacting our lives. Like, for an example, even after all these years and regulations and so on and so forth in the United States and abroad, how many transactions are getting done with Bitcoin after all this time, right? So it's not ideal for the price to just take off and skyrocket to $1 million. I think people are way too early in calling for those types of prices. And so I think we're going to see a drop inside the cryptocurrency market, but it's going to come as we continue to see the commodities skyrocket. So gold and silver have the show. Right now, this is this is where you want to be. And the thing is that this is real money. It can't be manipulated, it can't be controlled. And so, like I said before, gold is now flipped and made this support. And we're going to definitely see a pullback with gold, probably back to about $4,800 and maybe even further, maybe 4,500 bucks. No hate to Bitcoin. Love crypto in general. Blockchain technology is about to change the world. It already has changed the world. It's actually old technology now. Distributed ledger technology is the theme right now. At the same time, do not get fooled. Bitcoin is fool's gold. It is. I have to stamp it as that because it's exactly that. And the reason being is because, like I said earlier inside this video, if I make a digital currency, which they're already doing now. The BRICS are doing it, so on and so forth. There's going to be multiple gold, silver, commodity backed currencies, oil backed, diamonds, you name it. There's going to be a number of different currencies that are going to be backed by commodities. Why would I back a currency with a currency? I can just use Bitcoin itself. I don't need to make a currency like, I don't have to have the dollar be backed by Bitcoin because Bitcoin is a currency and it should just be used in itself. That's what it was supposed to do originally. And because it can't serve, it hasn't been able to efficiently serve that purpose, and other technologies have just been better at doing that as far as payments. Bitcoin is now just been, oh, well, it's a store of value, right? And if you're gonna say it's a store of value, well, I can say XRP is a store of value, depending on when you bought it, right? So if you bought XRP at 10 cent and you've been buying it, all the way up to, let's say, $1. Well, guess what? XRP has never went back down below $1 since then. It's pretty much held its gains. And so that's a store of value. A pair of Jordans can be a store of value. If you have a sneaker collection, those are stores of value. That's why it's fool's gold. It's because intrinsically, if something really, really bad in the world happens, Bitcoin won't save the financial system. It will not be able to help you transact inside of a power outage, or even if you have power, if there's an internet outage, in terms of Wi-Fi and broadband, you're not going to be able to transact. I think a mixed portfolio is always good. And so nothing's wrong, nothing's wrong with that. I own both gold and Bitcoin at the same time, and I don't knock you for wanting to do the same thing. I think it's a great idea if that's something that you're into. And ultimately, let's just understand the difference between the assets. It's nothing wrong with Bitcoin. I know this might have been some, some hate to it. I'm a really big gold and silver advocate, but definitely no hate on Bitcoin. We need Bitcoin to do great. If you're an altcoin investor, you have to see Bitcoin do great. Everything I just said that it's not doing, and it's not really serving that purpose, it really doesn't matter. We need that to be in the minds of the people that, Bitcoin is almost like a cult. And we need people to believe in that, and we need them to have that in mind regardless of any of that, because we want the price to go high. We want to bring in that liquidity. And where I do see Bitcoin serving its purpose, Bitcoin is going to help anchor all the other cryptocurrencies. So you have XRP versus Bitcoin, you have Ethereum versus Bitcoin. That is why you want to see Bitcoin do great. It's because regardless of any of that, as long as the network stands as it is, Bitcoin is a store of value. And there's just times where gold might serve as a better store of value, silver, so on and so forth, even other assets. But ultimately, Bitcoin is a store of value. It's just that some of the use cases for Bitcoin just aren't there. And so I don't think we should be surprised to see Bitcoin not, skyrocketing to these crazy high numbers. Supply and demand, those are definitely metrics to look at. But right now, I think that with Bitcoin, it's only a supply story. It's not about demand. That once gold and silver cools off, and other commodities, once they cool off, you'll see a rotation out of those commodities into other things like cryptocurrency, and back into stocks, back into real estate, so on and so forth. So get ready, because it is going to get really, really nasty, and you're going to wish a lot of people are going to wish they would have held something other than just dollars. A lot of people are going to wish they would have held something other than just simply even cryptocurrency. If for the younger generation who we're all trying to get rich off the meme coins and so on and so forth. So uh, definitely hope you guys got some value from the video. And this is going to be a little bit of a different video. I'm start trying to put out some of these rants, so to speak, just so that I can get down my thoughts without them being necessarily organized, and then hit a lot of points all at one time. So, well, with that being said, is thanks for tuning into the video. Like, share, leave a comment, and subscribe. Make sure you turn on the notifications, hit the bell, and let me know if I can do anything better. Obviously, I can. We can always improve. And of course, too, links are in the descriptions for you to get anything that you might need that will help you with investing. Of course, when it comes to sign up for different exchanges, Coinbase, Kraken, make those accounts. Those are affiliate links. You're going to be able to go on and make your own account. And of course, if you need help to be able to do that, I have my link there. Book a call. We can talk about finances in general. I would love to help you create a financial plan to make some of those things that you want to see possible for the future actually be possible. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you inside the next video.
I can change everything. Feel like I can change everything. I'm planning on changing the game.